Welcome, 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 everyone. How many of you thought you were going to be here in 2012, that you would make it? Contemplate that. Just before 2012, exactly Halloween Eve 2012, I did my first public radio show. And from that point forward, I have been a signature frequency teacher of the moment of the now. You've also heard me call it a colloquial now teacher. I am here to challenge you at every scale and size in which you think, understand, and perceive information in any way, shape, or form. For it'll be the unlimited point of view that helps you understand what a true signature frequency teacher of the moment of the now means to all that you have been, all that you will be, and all that you could be. I am just an individual signature frequency match for seekers of knowledge to discover their own sovereign selves, their innate birthrights as soul streams incarnating as universal free will, understanding their own individual relation to the law of one, the law of two. Self-healing and self-nurturing has been in the basis of my message since the foundation of the galactic history. There are nuggets spread throughout the entire process over many years and many thousands of hours of recordings. We have culminated into our online class called Living the Mystical Life Daily, where I took all these years of knowledge, wisdom, and compacted it into a 6-week course. So for today's show, I'm going to be explaining how all the teachings, no matter what subject matter they're about, they still relate to self-healing, self-nurturing, signature frequencies in the moments of now, for seekers of the knowledge to understand they are their own colloquial now teacher, that they are their own signature frequency moment. For if there is no observer to this sacred neutral observer, there is no observance and there's no moment-to-moment exchanged. 1 year ago, there was one expression. The year before that, there was another expression. Each and ever-evolving moment of now being who is retaining and remembering to be their own signature frequency of the moment teacher to thyself. That is what you are going through each and every day. And it's the same thing that I go through each and every day. Except each and every day I wake up, I choose the scale at which I want to operate that is equal to my level of awareness for this very day. Some time ago, I lost a very close friend of mine. And those were the lower energy moments where the morning energy needed to come through. That was my signature frequency teaching. To understand that each time that I go and do public broadcasts, I challenge the scale and size for which everyone to think at, and that includes myself. There are expansions and contractions between the colloquial understanding of how you have said words in the past to how you will say words in the future. And the words that we say now are our innate birthright as soul streams using universal free will in this name it to claim it process that says, I am this. I am not a match for that. Just because my definition does not include the unknown cannot affect me. The universe is not working against you. The system is actually not working against you. It is waiting for you to make non-choices, inactions, suppositions, expectations, and your own limitations in which it can boggle you down with your own energy. Your own past life or future life concepts. And when you reach such low energies, it then says, would you like me to create a life for you? You can be a teacher. You can be a doctor. You can be a slave boy. You can be a newsroom person. You can be a banker. You know what? You're a factory worker for the next 10 lifetimes. And they accept it over and over and over again. What are those beings teaching as their signature frequency match when we observe them? Many of us have looked to those concepts, which we call the trenches, where there is no sovereign free will in them. They are run by instant gratification. Equal co-creation and non-competition means absolutely nothing to them because they probably haven't read a book in 30 years. How many of you people out there know somebody who hasn't read a book? in 5 years, 10 years, or hell, since they graduated high school. What is the challenge of reading? Because it comes from a box versus a screen? One of the hardest things as a teacher was getting people to read material, because they have such traumas when they're learning how to read as a little child in school. Or maybe their parents were unable to give them the time that they needed so they can work through the speech problems. Maybe they were bullied at school for their speech. Or worse, they were never given any acknowledgement. They were always a grade 2, average 2 kid that never anyone got a mentor and helped them find their genius. And when I hear people read, I hear the traumas in their reflection. And that is why I chose to come out with contract revocations, like revocation for the divine masculine, revocation for the divine feminine. Each seminal work into defining the reality of what is creating perversion within those archetypical concepts, and ways for you to engage that energy and say, no, I will not engage with the perverted energy. I will own my words. When these revocations first came out, there were people who literally could not ever read them out loud. Or they would be stumbling over words because each word was clawing back power from their sympathetic or their unseen world that they had given their power away. All of you have had your own expressions with them. Some feel hyper-empowered. Some can just put enough energy into them to get their nose above the water so they're not drowning. But when you truly activate sacred discipline, with the sacred heart space, with your words engaged, it's not about your nose above the water anymore. It's about uncreating the water, completely changing the environment. Not an extinction level environment to your unseen world, because that would be aggression. A complete uncreation. An unraveling of all the choice points you've made that have given away power to those processes, back to the fundamental beginning, so the house of cards topples. The longer term version is, how long will it be before your house of cards is built back up by yourself or that external world? Contract revocation is an ever-evolving system of prayer and empowering the self. I am a sacred neutral observer of the past, present, and future. You are too. That is another signature frequency teaching of the moment. So I want to remind people that in this members show, we are going to be doing a Q&A. So if you'd put down some questions that are about this subject matter or other subject matter, that's great. I will get to as many questions as I can by the time I'm done with this part that I wanted to present to you. So come on and put all those questions down. Now, I would ask that you be respectful in some of those questions and you not make them personal. Try not to make them specifically about you. This is not the forum for that, please. Healers have a archetypical concept behind them. One that has tens and thousands of years of lifetimes on this world and other worlds, that creates a relative archive of what the potentialities of being a healer mean. In each and every one of those worlds, they all come back to the same thing. Can the healer maintain the skill and still maintain themselves without getting lost and entangled into those that they're healing? Those that they're working with, those that they're teaching or schooling or mentoring? Can they continue to grow on their own? That's the fundamental message. When a healer becomes myopic, can only see with one eye, they have become the zealot in an ignored way. They ignored their other side so much until that other side became the zealot that is subtly imprinting their future world. Those are some of the hardest choices people that have to make. Does this healer like this? Does this healer like that? I'm here to help you understand something. When you need healing, and you ask the universe in prayer, it is already there, waiting for you to receive it. And when you go to see a healer, do your due diligence that is equal to your level of awareness. If your level of awareness is, I can only function by a recommendation because I haven't put enough time or effort to go and know the community, then you are going off of the level of awareness of a recommendation. If you are a person that can use your prayer system and a recommendation system, or a phone book, or go once again and meet people, you do have that right as a person buying a session. Who are you? Where are you? Where did you come from? Are you just some person on the internet? Make some form of correspondence, especially with the healers, so you can speak about things afterwards. Now there's lots of energies going around here that I am simultaneously perceiving that is challenging people right there. Due diligence, I have to do due diligence in my spiritual world. Giving prayers and love and light is not enough. Nope. If you do not do your own due diligence to your own discernment, then the system is saying, all right, you are not using the fullness of your awareness. You are choosing as actively to not engage with the reality. Living the mystical life daily stops the system from using your inactions to respond or to react or to interact with something. How you do not do things greatly influences your unseen world. So for all those healers out there that know they should have given themselves an extra hour last week, or heck, it's been a year since they really have given themselves a full hour, how much longer will you let it go on? How much longer will you ignore it before that unseen concept becomes manifest in your life with people, places, and things that draw you into charge and polarity? I am a sacred neutral observer of the past, present, and future, simultaneously existing, me as the unentangled sacred neutral observer. You have heard me say this on countless of shows, countless of concepts. I want you to emanate those words, to no longer emulate what it is that I am teaching, to emanate it on your own from your own knowingness. So these are some mantras that you need to begin to figure out how to put into your own life that become positive ways of change. Write this down. I am here to assist seekers of knowledge to understand self-healing and self-nurturing. I am a sacred neutral observer. It is my choice at any moment in time to act or interact with the different forms of reality. It is my choice to be a signature frequency match for non-competitional order, teaching the semantics of the 26-letter alphabet and how it affects our seen and unseen world. I can no longer ignore my unseen world and how my words affect it. For it is my own blind spot that I've been created since I was separated at birth from the fetus. I am not a being of separation. That was imprinted upon me from my birth itself. Fundamental and foundational within the growth experience in this era of time, and every other era of time that had a different iteration or some reflection of 26-letter alphabet or 9-letter alphabet or 1,000-letter alphabet, each and every one a way to bring a density manifest light to that I am, who's then going to pass on the torch of I am to the next I am, to the next fetus, to the next fetus. And this is why we pray with our 7 future generations. I am a being of non-hierarchal order. You've been hearing me say this for months and months. What does it take for you to engage your own sacred neutral mantra that is enforcing your borders and boundaries? That each time you say it, there is a direct link of energetic lines and webs to the very borders and boundaries of your time and no time space being. That's I am, that's saying I am a being of non-hierarchal order. I am a being of non-competition. I am a being of non-duality. I am a being of equal co-creation, non-competition, non-hierarchal order, non-duality, non-separation, in your own perfect flow. Do you really need a calendar that says to do this at 9 a.m., to do this at 11 p.m.? You need to own your own schedule. You need to own this at such a level that you are going to make true changes with words themselves. For it is words that have been changing our reality through information or disinformation, external of us. But internal of us, when these words mean something, we begin to emanate the energy. And we begin to turn on our inner light. And we turn on that inner light in such a way that there's this powerful frequency going through us called love. Love that has many colors within it that take us down the journey so we may seek the knowledge of who we are, what we were, and who the hell we're going to be in the future. And we can do that and not in fear. For we are not in competition with predator prey within thyself. Knowing thyself is your responsibility, no one else's. You can't give it away to your mother or father, brothers or siblings anymore. Knowing thyself is your responsibility and yours alone. You can no longer give it to the higher self, for it is the I am's purpose to know thyself. If you shuck off this responsibility, you are giving the middle finger to your awareness and the unseen world, allowing whatever is out there to use, abuse, or violate your borders and boundaries at will because you are ignoring the back door you left open. Allowing the wolves in sheep's clothing, the metaphor, to once again re-enter your field of expression. Knowing thyself means you can no longer ignore wounds that have been there since the most ancient of days, even if you have no memories of them. Innately you know. And each and every day you ignore it and don't go inside and bring light and healing to that is another energy into the negative, into the charge, into the polarity that is that endless bucket and repetitive cycle of repetition without illumination. Repetition with illumination is you are bringing your light upon your subjects. You don't need to tackle it all at once, but you need to tackle it with an honest heart and be willing to do your own self-litmus tests. Are you acidic to your own ideas? Are you balanced with your own ideas? If there is a pendulum swing to the other side making you acidic, not wanting to do colon cleansing, or not wanting to do meditations, or not wanting to do a single prayer, but only conceive as your little mental one thought prayer that you do as your prayer. You can no longer act at the infant level. You are all adults that know how to put on clothes and shoes and drive cars and hold down jobs and have kids. You can't manage your own schedule with all those other things that you do. Don't give away your power to time anymore. Choose no time so that you can begin to discern thyself from the deep inner wisdom that you are. But that will require accepting yourself with all your flaws and all your polished diamonds and everything in between. Accepting thyself, knowing thyself, and discerning thyself is once again repetition with illumination, allowing the process of growth within the self. Growth comes when we look at our victories in life. Since the dawn of my teachings, I have been speaking about recalling your victories. your victory ceremony, your great counting coup, and thousands of other archetypical words that help you understand the creation of a celebrational energy of your victories, where you bring in the memories, the fullness within you, because it is your sovereign duty to yourself to keep bringing in your own light of the victories that you created, your trials and tribulations that have taught you the greatest. So many people miss the concept of sharing it with an energy, with a beingness, a logos, or an aspect of something of yourself that is choosing to be in sacred neutral witness to you in your victories. Engage in the fire ceremonies. Give yourself those victory moments. Be willing to do the most basic alchemy on yourself. Colon cleansing, colonics, pH balanced food, or pH balanced water, organic food. Build your own garden. Begin to educate yourself on how you can create things that have more energy within them, that are not coming from the commercial sources, where all the great energy have already been harvested out of them. The beef that McDonald's gets versus the beef that your local Safeway gets, or your local grocery store. Do you honestly think that there's really anything different on the unseen world? There is. When you have a taste of this, wow, that was really good energy. Wow, there's something about it. It's because people are putting their own energy into it. Our food no longer has the energy because it's been harvested out of it long before its death. Be willing to engage your victories, to accept thyself, to know thyself as a non-hierarchal order being, as a being of non-competition, as a being of equal co-creation, as one that is helping the seekers of knowledge to help find their density manifestation. Your choice, each and every moment. All right, so let me see questions here. Please comment as to why there appears to be no mention of the Ascension Process stated in the Kali Yuga. Only the golden age to come. I've been talking about the actual Ascension Process since 2012. And it'll be individual to each and every person. As I've described this, it starts in the North Pole, and then there's what I just call a global dreamtime awakening. You can consider the sun constantly putting out pulses of energy. And as those pulses of energy increase, there is a, let's just call it, celestial pressure system that is created around our planet that creates a compression field. And that compression field attracts other forms of light. And those other forms of light will also be compressed into very, let's just say, dense form of light matter. That light matter will enter our North Pole and our South Pole simultaneously. It will create an aurora borealis in the North Pole and the South Poles of intense light matter, which will then give an awakening, a ascension process, a gateway, a doorway into the fourth dimension of no time, in which this no time process, you will have awareness of yourself in no time, who is in global dreamtime unity, meaning the billions of beings on the surface, the astral world, and the hollow earth and the deep hollow earth all share a single celestial dream world. For that is the greatest thing that was done to our planet, is the separation and connection to the dream worlds that are not fully within its divine co-creative celestial rights. That dense light matter will break down the technological, theological, and ideological creations of all the individual bubbles of reality and return Earth to its primary position as the creator and awakener of the dream space, the one that has the celestial contracts and vows and agreements with us to engage in a reality to resolve some form of awareness within ourselves. So the Kali Yuga, it is an expression of the past that has made it to this far into the future. Do my words connect to the Kali Yuga individually? At one level, yes. But our unseen world is also represented in the Kali Yuga. When I try to describe what is going on our surface of 7,300,000,000 people versus our subsurface of 30,500,000,000 people versus our astral world of roughly 20 billion. Or there are times our astral world is bloated with 100 billion. But there will still only be 1 million or 5 million coming in and out each every day. Some of them are just in the outer realities waiting, changing the potentials. And that is the next expression from Kali Yuga to Golden Age. The amount of things that are coming here to incarnate, reincarnate, create a whole new way, live on the surface, live on the subsurface, simultaneously exist on this world in all the different scales and time that it can, and then choose to be a multidimensional photonic being of light, simultaneously existing in equal co-creation with the law of one and all its other universal source selves. There is a universal source self-awakening within our expression. So that is the golden age to come. Okay? That was a fun question. Thank you. All right, so... Hi, Andrew. Can you tell us if there's anything, if they are attempting to create a paradox, repeating last century? Oh, they've been trying, yes, but they're not getting anywhere. So you got to see our world as the surface world is where the puppets and the Muppets are. So the puppets and the Muppets are in government, in the big media, big corporation, big pharma. They're where subsurface or astral or extra-dimensional or extraterrestrial beings can easily manipulate, alternate, or do something within them that can lead them into a forced evolutionary process. Now, so many of these hierarchical beings have been engaged in so many other paradoxes that they are bound to this position because of the previous paradox. And now when new people try to come to create paradox, they don't have a full understanding of all of the other paradoxes and then sub-paradoxes with each individual in which they might be changing. So there are times that intentional paradoxes are created to attempt to end everything, but even those are beginning to fail because the bigger paradox is, how the hell did it get this far and not uncreate everything? The answer it was, there were 4 creational events to stop uncreational events. These were not recreational events. We would be a completely different galaxy and universe if that was. But within our looping, all of the expressions that could have been recreation were existing within the 4 paradox timeline loops that had been going on for the last 54 million years. So the beings that are awake and aware now truly don't have the grasp of how far back our timeline pollution goes. And this is why extra density, extraterrestrial, positive beings from all over the galaxy and the universe are trying to assist us, but also at the same time knowing that we are a chocolate souffle. They cannot interfere with us. They cannot open that door or we will sink and repeat. Hope that helps. Okay? So help with implant removal revocation suggestions. It's hard to revoke when one is not sure of point of implant or implant's working of manipulation of implant energy, harvesting or programming. Are many people affected with implants? I got to call bullshit a little bit here. Our truther industry is an incestuous bunch who will repeat fearful-based subject matters to gather views, who will use fear such as implants, and you need to have them removed. Now, you are asking for a revocation, and I'm going to give you one here in a second. Totally one made up on the spot. No pre-read anything. But the teaching here is you're asking about point of implants, implants working, of manipulations, implants of energy. Where did you learn all this from? The internet? Alex Jones? So here's your revocation. I, in this ever-present moment of now, choose to break all contracts, vows, and agreements in which I have heard any information about implants that have been weaponized to do harm to me in any way, shape, or form. That is energy of charge and polarity. For if there are any implants, you are now being removed, for you came when I allowed the energy in of being fearful. I now return all the energy back to the original source that created these implants. I seal these gates shut, and I bring in the universal law of one. I am a divine being who will not accept forced evolution. Can you do that with real power? The next layer here is implants are a technological or spiritual process. Not all implants are bad. And there are very good implants protecting certain people's DNA lineages. Because we know so little about it, and we can only take from the incestuous conspiracy world, who has created subworlds of healing of implants and removing of chakras, which is all a bunch of bullshit. Why do I say that? They are just turning over fear. Over and over, instead of putting in your hand the knowledge and wisdom of how to remove each and every one of those, no matter how much detail the conspiracy world has given to that specific little implant. You have the power over your reality, not them. You just have to discover where you gave away your power and begin to surgically remove the cancer that is taking your power that is an implant. A concept, an ideological belief that has led you somewhere else. Okay? Greetings, Andrew. What is the relevance of the mystery schools and their healing modalities in this timeline and time now? What true sovereign wisdom and teachings do they hold? So I got to combine all mystery schools into this answer. And that does include the mystery schools of the Illuminati and the negatives. Because for a very long time, they weren't actually trying to be negative in the bulk of their believers. It was always only the elite at the top that truly knew the 10,000-year plan or the 100,000-year plan. The lower echelons were just blindly following their leadership, not knowing that they were in an upside-down, inside-out belief system. So when you look at all modalities of all mystery schools that are all involved here, it is about the seeker of knowledge finding mentors and teachers at the moment of true sovereign wisdom, meaning that person begins at an early enlightenment, sometimes at a young age and sometimes at a middle age, but the celestial synchronicities are there to bring the teacher, to bring the mentor. That is the most important healing modality that mystery schools can do, because they put into the hands your ability to know that there may be good in this school and there may be bad, but what I do know, I will find my celestial synchronicities. I will find my sovereign wisdom and the next mentor and the next teacher who will be just a reflection of me, for I am a signature frequency match for all teachers within my wisdom that I'm choosing to engage with. That is the great modalities that will be passed on. There are other modalities such as sound healing and light healing and alchemy. Each of those will have their moment to shine as a signature frequency teacher of the moment. Okay? How do we work with ourselves that may be cycles or of years ahead of our present? Is there a process on working with the frequency of knowingness and a manifested picture in reality that doesn't seem to match? Hope this makes sense. All right. So let me break this down. How do we work with ourselves that may be cycles or years ahead of our present? All right, so this is kind of a private question, but it'll have some bigger answer. So how do you actually know? So how do you know that your cycles are years ahead? I know for myself that I'm years ahead of cycles. Where did I learn it? From my inner knowingness. And your next thing is there a process on working with frequency knowingness and manifested picture in reality that doesn't seem to match? So you're seeing two different concepts. Are you sure you're not seeing something that's a potential and you are engaging your precognitive ability to take that potential, actualize it, and reverse lineage and reverse engineer it? So many people with some form of vision get caught up where the programs within their body has access to the precognitive system, which allows our mind to fill in the blank, our knowingness. So if a manifested picture in reality that doesn't match, one is off. This is where you must begin the inner discerning process at the most micro little details of levels. Ask, how did I come with this answer? Track back. Have I said this answer the last 9 months, or did it come a month ago? Did my form of change of knowingness have some expression? It'll be a process for you to know your cycle. The first part is, are you in repetition without illumination or repetition with illumination? Can you count it? What did I do in January, the first 10 days of January? What did I do in the second 10 days of January? What did I do in the third 10 days of January? Go back with your hindsight and discover how your knowingness expanded and contracted. Discerning thyself of the past so that it is much easier to discern the higher self who is working with you in the now. Andrew, it is our DNA that is so valuable. What is the rationale with the widespread DNA machinations, geoengineering, chemtrails, GMO? Love the impeccability of your data. Thank you. I can cite a variety of experiments that have been done in our reality where they could have the DNA of a frog and the DNA of a lizard, and they can shine light through the DNA, and the DNA would be transferred. It's all about watering down the DNA with certain aspects of lower density life forms, GMOs, chemtrail, and geoengineering. When they are able to alter our environment that causes a different gene to be active that you may have gotten from the GMO celery that says when the sun is very hot, you won't create spiritual photosynthesis. Spiritual photosynthesis is your right at any given moment. Since the dawn of being in the sun, people have been doing spiritual photosynthesis. It's when they let down and go, I'm letting the sun heal me. I'm enjoying every moment of this. Okay. DNA is memory. And if they're bringing in memories of a plant, memories of a bug, memories of an orangutan, in a lineage that you may have not ever lived in, how is that bogging down your ability to see and know thyself within the DNA? So is that junk DNA? No, it's what I call bloatware DNA. Just like in computers you have malware, and then you have stuff which is bloatware. Like when you get Microsoft and you accidentally leave a check, and the next thing you know, they download 5,000 things that slow your computer down, which has bloated its ability. Bloatware. That's ultimately what all this excess stuff is coming from geoengineering and the sub-things that are created from fear within it. The chemtrails and the sub-fear that's created within that. The GMO and the sub-fear that's created within that. The vaccines and the sub-fear that's created within that. Each having an absolutely different effect based off of each individual person's belief. There are millions of people that get their vaccines every year and it does absolutely nothing to them because they believe in the system so much. But then there are the people that have been born with more of their higher self intact, less of the Swiss cheese of memory loss from going through the forgetting. And they're beginning to evolve and go, hey, I don't want that shot. I don't want to forget anymore. Choice once again. Okay. Hey, any tips on how to realize if we've created a new form of communion with the ancestors of various pieces of the land on Mother Earth? Any tips on how to realize if we created a new form of communion with the ancestors? Well, the realize word, and again, I'm going to pick this word apart, so don't take this, just understand the word. In the word writing of realize, there is an expectation. Because it's followed by if we've created. So if you know you've created it, you will already have your form of confirmation in the communion that does not have expectation or any other form of limitation. It is truly the unlimited point of view. All right, and then this will be the last question. Hello, Andrew. Did you once say that weather is a result or somehow related to consciousness? Will you please expand that? Yes. So since the dawn of the teachings, I have said our weather patterns are our uncollective trying to come together and become a collective. Geoengineering, HARP, and chemtrails are all keeping us as an uncollective in the areas that are karmic resolution, instead of all of our wisdom going up as programmed water, because we're the surface being, surface imprinting the programmed water that goes into the atmosphere, that creates weather patterns that's influenced by the celestial mind that comes down. That is the interrelatedness. When we as a species do not use HARP and all the other stuff for a negativity purpose, but we allow the natural organic evolution to take place within our weather patterns, we have a full collective consciousness that begins in the dream world in the North and the South Pole, like I described earlier in the show. So the collective consciousness already exists, and it is also trying to reverse engineer us, the uncollective, as individuals, so that we can discover the collective within our weather patterns and know that it is 1 degree of separation from us, and that we begin to program the water around us, the reality around us, so that collective consciousness begins to imprint into our cloud patterns, overriding the will of technology or the elites who say, I'm your king, I'm your ruler, I'm your god, I'm your demigod. No, they are all failed beings who never truly understood the law of one. Thank you very much for everyone. And I want to give a challenge out there. We are coming up to our equinox and our solstices that are coming up. These are the times that you break out your contract revocations, particularly the collect union and communion collective consciousness strike. I would like for all of you to pick that document up. Yes, I know it's a challenge to read. It's got many pages to it, but that ultimately is why I wrote it at that level. Can you do your 5K marathon? Okay? I am bringing a form of spiritual triathlon training. For those that join the Living the Mystical Life daily online course and go through that 6-week training, you will be getting the fullness of the triathlon training. so that you can endure and engage, interact with heart space living and life force as our times of great change happen. Thanks a lot, everyone, and I'll catch you on the next show.
Each different bubble of reality is true.
A galactic historian is a person that looks at all the lines of dramatic karma.
Nudge, nudge, it's the Holy Grail.
Improvise. Mysterious.
It's counter psychic intelligence.
Why is DNA farming of this star cluster so important?
Because we do manifest our reality. We do create our reality.
Hello, let's create, let's co-create, and let's change this world with love. No matter if you're from Alpha Centauri or Earth, we all began with the same birthing process. We live in a limited point of view. Living the mystical life daily is about striving for the unlimited point of view. Each day, each human being gets an infinite amount of choices. Living the mystical life daily is about facing obstacles and challenges. The level of awareness that you are working at means you have a responsibility to be equal with it. How does one truly let go of expectation? You can make the moment that you wake up to the moment you go to sleep sacred. The keys to success: choice, 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 and choice.